Om Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so I'd like to welcome all the devotees. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'd like to seek the blessings of Radha Madhav, Father Shyamsundar Krishna Balaram, Onitai Srila Prabhupada, and Guru Maharaj, so that we can continue with the overview of the 11th canto, chapter 24 today. And this is a verse number 14 of this chapter. Yogasya tapasas chaiva nyasasya gatayo amala mahajanastapa satyam bhakti yogasya madgati. By mystic yoga, great austerities, and the renounced order of life, the pure destinations of Mahalok, Janalok, Tapalok, and Satyalok are achieved. But by devotional service, devotional yoga, one achieves my transcendental abode. So these are the higher planetary systems in our universe. And to get there, there's a lot of things you have to do. It's not so easy to reach there. But still, one does not reach the ultimate unless one does bhakti yoga. So no matter how much we try, unless we are in devotional service, we're not going to go beyond this universe. Anyway, this chapter is a technical chapter, the philosophy of Sankhya. And Krishna is trying to urge Uddhava to control the mind through this philosophy. In this chapter, Lord Krishna gives instructions how bewilderment of the mind can be dispelled by the science of Sankhya. So it's a Sankhya yoga. Sankhya basically means to distinguish between matter and spirit. Herein, the Supreme Lord again imparts to Uddhava instructions about the analysis of material nature. By assimilating this knowledge, the spirit soul can drive away his confusion based on false dualities. So Sankhya is basically what is not, basically, what is not. Because we're trying to establish through analysis what is permanent in this world. And Sankhya does that by analyzing what is not permanent in this world. That is basically material nature. Krishna will now describe to the science of Sankhya, which has been perfectly established by ancient authorities. By understanding this science, a person can immediately give up the illusion of material duality. In the beginning of creation, the seer and the seen are one and indistinguishable. So the seer is the Lord and the seen is us. And we're one with the Lord in quality, not quantity. This supreme absolute truth, one without a second, inaccessible to words and mind, then separates into two, the seer, which means consciousness or personality, and the seen, which means the substance or nature. The material nature, which comprises the three modes of matter, is agitated by the glance of the controlling male factor. That means Vishnu. Vishnu, as soon as he glances over material nature, it becomes activated. Until then, material nature is dormant, doesn't do anything. Now, Mahatattva then becomes manifest together with the energies of consciousness and activity, from which are generated the false ego, the cause of the living entities, bewilderment. Now, Krishna talks a lot about false ego, so we'll go into that. From these come the principle of false ego in the three aspects of goodness, passion, ignorance. From false ego in the mode of ignorance arises 15 subtle forms of sense perception, followed by 15 physical elements. From the false ego in the mode of passion comes the 10 senses. From the false ego in the mode of goodness comes the mind and the 11 demigods who preside over the senses. As I said, this is quite technical. By the conglomerate conglomeration of all of these elements grows the universal egg, in the midst of which the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the creating Lord of the universe, takes up residence in the role of the indwelling Supersoul. So all of these elements are within the universal egg, of which the creator is the Supreme Lord. And he expands himself, he takes up residence as the Supersoul, as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu in his abode of Shwetadweep within this world. From the navel of this ultimate creator comes a lotus. So from the navel of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu comes a lotus upon which Brahma takes birth. Lord Brahma, invested with the mode of passion, executes austerities by the grace of the Supreme Lord. And on the strength of these penances, he is able to create all the three planetary divisions of the universe. So this is going back to cantos 1, 2, and 3, where Parikshit, Sukadeva Goswami explains this in a lot of detail. But Krishna is here just summarizing it. The region of heaven is meant for the demigods, that of the inner space for ghostly spirits, and that of earth for human beings and others. So the heavens, and there's other areas above earth, which Bhurbhuva, Swaha, Bhurbhuva. So one of those other places is where these ghostly spirits live. And below earth, in the region below the three planetary systems, are the places of great sages. And then the lower worlds are those of the demons, Nag, serpents, etc. So we can go through this at some point. It's a little confusing, but we can go through that. The goals achieved by activities based on the three modes of material nature are all within the three material worlds, mortal worlds. The destinations of yoga, severe austerity, and renounced order of life are the worlds known as Maha, Janas, Tapas, and Satyalok. However, the goal of devotional service to the Supreme Lord, on the other hand, is the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead in his abode, Vaikuntha. This universe of material action and reaction is constituted under the control of time and the three modes of material nature. Thus, one sometimes rises up towards the surface of this mighty river of the modes of nature, and sometimes again submerges. So we're up and down because of our attachment to this world, our body, enjoying our senses. So we become under the control of time and under the control of the three modes. Gold and earth are originally existing as ingredients. So this is a really good example. From gold, one may fashion golden ornaments such as bracelets and earrings. From earth, one may fashion clay pots and saucers. But the original ingredients, gold and earth, exist before the products are made from them. And when the products are eventually destroyed, the original ingredients, gold and earth, will remain. Right? Quite easy to understand. Thus, since the ingredients are present in the beginning and the end, they must also be present in the middle phase, taking the form of a particular product to which we assign, for convenience, a particular name, such as bracelet, earring, or pot or saucer. We can therefore understand that since the ingredient cause exists before the creation of a product and after the product's destruction, the same ingredient cause must be present during the manifest phase, supporting the product as the basis of its reality. So whatever exists in this universe is simply the product of combination of material nature and her Lord. So material nature exists before and after. In between, it's subdivided into so many different manifestations. In this way, that creation proceeds gradually from the one and supremely subtle to the multitudinous and very gross process of annihilation, proceeds from the grossest to the subtlest manifestation of nature, living only the eternal spiritual substance. This ultimate soul remains situated within himself, alone and without any end. The material universe may be considered real, having nature as its original ingredient and final state. Lord Mahavishnu is the resting place of nature, which becomes manifest by the power of time. As long as the Supreme Personality of Godhead continues to glance over nature, the material world continues to exist, perpetually manifesting through procreation, the great and variegated flow of universal creation. So basically, what Lord Krishna is explaining is that he exists before, he exists after. As long as his glance is over material nature, it will manifest itself. It's always there, beginning and end. But in the middle, it needs his glance to make it manifest in its multitudinous forms. So all these different forms. Okay. Krishna explains that he is the basis of the universal form.
Prabhuji?
Yes.
So what they're saying is that something is there before, something is there after. And in between there is all this all this 8.4 million of species. Is it what they're trying to say?
Yes, that's it. That's part of it. Yes. In the beginning, it's unmanifested. In the end, it's unmanifested. In the middle, it's manifested. As you said, partly 8.4 million species, and then you got the planetary systems, you got the senses, you got mind, intelligence, ego. All of that becomes manifest in the middle stage. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji, thanks.
Yeah. But you're absolutely spot on. Good understanding.
Okay.
Krishna explains that he is the basis of the universal, which displays endless variety through the repeated creation, maintenance, destruction of the planetary systems. So, originally containing within itself all planets in their dormant state, his universal form manifests the varieties of created existence by arranging the coordinated combination of the 5 elements. So these 5 elements are the gross elements, right? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. So it keeps on as we see the yugas come and go, come and go, come and go. Brahma, his 12 hours finishes, there's another devastation. Then it all starts again with him waking up, creation starts, or at least a partial creation starts again. So in this way, there's always destruction, creation, destruction, creation, destruction, creation, all manifested because of the Lord. Right. Krishna further explains, at the time of annihilation, so he's looking at, so this is really technical now, how things merge. The mortal body of the living being becomes merged into food. Food merges into grains. Grains merge back into the earth. Earth merges into its subtle sensation, fragrance. That's the defining quality of earth, its fragrance, very beautiful. Fragrance merges into water. Water further merges into its own quality, taste. And that taste merges into fire. So these are all the different 5 gross elements merging into each other, which merge into form. Form merges into touch. Touch merges into ether. Ether finally merges into the sensation of sound. The senses all merge into their own origins. The presiding demigods merge into the controlling mind, which itself merges into false ego in the mode of goodness. So we saw how it comes in the earlier part of this chapter. Now Krishna is describing how it also gets annihilated. Sound becomes one with false ego in the mode of ignorance, and all-powerful force, ego, the first of all the physical elements, merges into the total nature. The total material nature, the primary repository of the three basic modes, dissolves into the modes. Now, I've got absolutely no idea what he's talking about, but we accept it as it is. These modes of nature then merge into the unmanifested form of nature. And that, what is the unmanifested form of nature? I think that's the Pradhan, which is the unmanifested. We'll come across that later on again. Not today, another time. And that unmanifest form merges into time. Time merges into the Supreme Lord, present in the form of the omniscient Mahapurush, the original activator of all beings, living beings. That origin of all life merges into Krishna saying, me, the unborn Supreme Soul who remains aloof, established within himself. It is from him that all creation and annihilation are manifested. So that's quite a, it's quite a mouthful, but, and it's very technical, but this is Krishna just explaining to Uddhav in order to control the mind. Yeah.
Also, these are quite difficult to grasp, isn't it?
Very difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult. But he's giving this to Uddhav to help us control our minds. That, look, there's so much that you cannot understand. There's so much that is involved. But we have to understand that we, the soul, are separate from material nature. We, the soul, are separate from the body, from the mind. And this is what Krishna's effectively information is giving. But yeah, it's complex, it's technical. The mind of a person who meditates on these ideas does not become bewildered by material dualities. So we can understand that good and bad, heat and cold, auspicious and inauspiciousness, it's all due to material designations. It doesn't apply to the soul or the super soul. This science of Sankhya, narrated in alternating sequences of creation and annihilation, serves to cut off all doubts and bondage. So this is the reason why Krishna is explaining this, is to help us understand that we're not connected to the mind, and we should control our mind through understanding that we are part of a much bigger picture of creation and annihilation. And we actually don't have anything to do with that process of creation and annihilation. It's only God who, through his glance, makes material nature alive, so-called alive, from inert to active. But we, the soul, are separate from it. We are not connected. Although because of our attachment to this world, we think we are connected with this world. So yeah, that's essentially what is being taught in this verse, in this chapter. Whew. Any questions, any comments? Thank you, Naniman. You already asked good questions and good realization as well. Anything else, Naniman?
No, it's yes, I'm just trying to I think it's made some sense. Seer and the seen. So seer is the Krishna. Seen is our super soul. Seen is soul.
Yeah.
But here it says the seen is the material world.
Oh yes, so he uses it in many different ways as well.
Okay.
The seer is always going to be Krishna. So the seen can be us. It can be the material world at the same time. Yes. Yeah. That's right. He uses it in different contexts. Very true. Very good. You really pay attention. I really like that.
Yes, when I was reading it, I had some questions. So
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps to read before if you got time.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes. That's really perfect what you're doing. Very, very good. No, thank you.
Thanks, Prabhuji.
Prabhupada?
Hare Krishna to everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Three questions together.
Okay.
One, what is mystic yoga? Second one, you said Marlok, Chanlok, Tapasya, Satya.
And Satyalok, yeah.
And the third one was material nature. What is that mean?
Okay. So mystic yoga is basically those yogis who try to reach the Lord with the power of their mind. So they meditate and they try to capture the Lord through mystic yoga, meditating on the Lord or doing Astanga yoga, like that. But Krishna says for them, they might reach Mahalok, Janalok, Satyalok, but they won't reach the spiritual world because they're not doing bhakti. They're doing yoga, Sankhya yoga. So now, Mahalok, these are highest planetary systems. So there's above us, there's heaven, but above heaven, there are 4 more planetary systems where the great yogis go there, who really control their mind and control their senses. So they go there. But even that is not the spiritual world. They're still within this world.
They're still in this world. It is difficult to control the mind anyway.
It is, but they have controlled the mind, but they haven't attached it to the Lord. That is the problem.
That's the problem.
And material nature is basically where we're living. It comprises the 3 modes of material nature: goodness, passion, ignorance, Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamagun. That's essentially material nature. But within that, there's a whole lot of things. Material nature includes all the different universes. It includes the gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. Includes the senses: eyes, nose, sound, touch, seeing. Everything comes within the material nature, and that is inactive until the Lord glances over material nature and it becomes active.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for asking, and thank you for paying attention. It shows through your questions. Very, very good. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Surinder, anything you'd like to add?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Sorry, I'm on the street at the moment. There's background noise.
Yes, no problem, no problem. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Looking forward to tonight. Thank you.
Tonight. Hare Krishna.
Hare
See
Krishna.
you later.
Thank you.
Prabhu, can I ask you something?
Yes. Sham Malini.
You know, it says at the time of annihilation, the mortal body of the living being becomes merged into food.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. So, and then the food becomes merged with brain. So,
this is basically Krishna is describing how everything collapses, finishes, and merges into each other thing. So basically he's saying the material body, which is made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether, it basically converts into food, and that food ultimately converts into grains, which then are put back into the earth, merge into the earth, and then the earth, is a reversal of the creation. So the creation, everything gets unraveled, and now everything is becoming again merged so that it can enter the Lord again. So this is very technical and it's complex. And I think the one that really gets to me is this one. The total material nature, the primary repository of the 3 modes, basic modes, dissolves into the modes. What does that mean? That's a tough one to understand. But that's essentially what it is. Everything is just winding down and merging into each other so that they can go, it turns back into the pradhan, which remains dormant in the Supreme Lord's body. Is that okay, Shyam Malini?
Yes, Prabhu, we said it.
It's complex.
It's
a
complex.
tough
From what
chapter.
I understand is that when we die, then everything, you say the 5 elements get merged with the, I don't know, air, water, fire. So then it becomes food because I don't like the process of rain and then it merged with the grain. Is that what it is?
It's essentially not necessarily at the end of our life, but at the end of creation. At the end, when Brahma dies at this time, this happens at this time. So when we die, it's not as exhaustive as this process. There is a small process, you're right. What you just said, it's correct. But this is, Krishna is describing what happens at the time of the ultimate annihilation.
Because you get the fire of devastation.
Yeah. That's right. The fire of devastation comes into play. Yeah.
Sorry, Prabhu?
No, Jayanti is just saying the fire of devastation at the end when the universe it comes into play at this time as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well done for trying to understand it. Even if we don't understand it, the beauty of this is, and I think Krishna explained in a previous chapter, even if somebody doesn't understand any of this, if he has faith in me, if he loves me, it doesn't matter because he's already understood. He's by just having that faith in me and love of me, I make up for all of his deficiencies in not understanding this. And it's not crucial to understand this in order to make advancement in spiritual life or even go back to Godhead. This is just there, especially for those who are analytically minded. You know, they like to understand these complex philosophy. So Krishna accommodates them as well, but we don't have to understand it. It's not crucial.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Okay, so let's pray to Lord Nrsimhadev.
Can you share, Prabhu?
Yeah, absolutely. And seek his very sweet protection. Oops. So that we can continue our seva to Radha and Krishna. Lord Nrsimhadev is so kind, so protective. Okay.
Prabhuji, it's still recording.
Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting today. One second. Thank you for letting me know.